Welcome back. I'm here with Master Baker of Theories, Fred. We are here to talk about Neon Genesis Evangelion. We're speeding through these now. We're on episodes 16, 17, and 18. And I think the plot is really moving on right now. Do you agree with me, Fred?
Oh boy, yes. It's certainly getting a lot of hooks into me, and it's really making me want to just plow through it. But
Yeah.
I have to keep myself at a pace.
Freddie's cheating, everyone. In the pre-episode ramble, he's told me he's skipped to episode 19. So he's been affected. He's coloured by choice.
Yeah. However, it's because episode 18 leaves you on a real strong cliffhanger.
7, 18, and 19 kind of like curve in, don't they?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I think it's fair to say that 17 flows into 18.
Yeah.
But then 18 has this very strong cliffhanger. And if I had just stopped there and come back, I would probably be in a more tumultuous state.
Okay. So
I did it for rationality.
Should we quickly go through some themes? Do you want to talk about any, or do you want to talk about theories that you have developed through these 4 episodes if you're called Fred and you're a big old cheat?
Yeah, I am. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
How dare you enjoy the program we watch? This is work anime, not enjoyment anime. We
might get to those. Anyways, it feels though from the end of episode 18, end of episode 18 made something click, and it felt like the entire series, I guess, the entire anime thus far, has been a form of metaphor for being a teenager or going through sort of phases in life.
Okay, yeah.
There was something I read a little while ago, not that long at all, in all honesty, which was that being a teenager is a really tough time in your life because you're expected to act like an adult, but you're still treated as a child.
Yeah.
And I know I'm skipping the first 2 episodes and I'm going right to near the end of episode 18, but there's a bit where Gendo specifically says, we don't have time for this childish outburst.
Yeah.
Despite the fact he's going, we need you to kill this Eva with a person in it. It's like...
Yeah. There's some directions. And I think the point that you make, especially... The whole thing's about growth, right? So we've seen Shinji grow. We've seen... kind of Asuka have a forced growth to be like the best pilot, and that's her emotional state. I think going back to what you were saying, we were talking about this again before the preamble, that there's an interesting discovery in neuroscience when they talk about the teenage brain, and it finishes at 25. The development of teenage brain development, people, 25. This is according to the science at the moment. Yeah.
Also, just as a quick thought, is that for men or women? Because I'm guessing brains develop differently for each gender. No. Okay. Because usually everyone says that women develop
mature faster.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm talking about this from just a neuroscience perspective. So it's the physiology of the brain. I'm aware that men and women have physical alterations in muscle and build and mass and stuff like that. But
there is also a bit in one of the episodes where Shinji's talking to Kaji about the difference between men and women as well, funny enough.
But that's where Kaji comes out with a quote that I quite enjoyed of, people don't even understand themselves, so why do you try bothering learning about other people? Which is quite interesting. Should we bring it back to episode 16?
Yes, we'll start from the beginning.
I know, terrible, but we do. we've done a Soren Kierkegaard. You know, life is understood backwards, but lived forwards. Episode 16 for me. I will do the titles as now tradition. Sickness unto death, and then, or the Japanese is Splitting of the Breast, which I think, given how the episode pans out, it makes sense. because it's splitting of the breast as a term referring to separation and anxiety, and the notion that some babies get a favourite side of the mother's breast, and sickness unto death, and then really colours the episode for what happens. So, brief episode overview. We start with a slice of life. Chef Shinji in action. Bia Masato is returning into action. Pre-breakfast Bia. Asuka being Asuka and trying to rule the roost. And quite
calling
quickly,
them out and apologising.
Yeah. And then they have the harmonics test. Shinji is then told his stats make him the best pilot.
He's number one.
Yeah. Asuka tries to joke it off, and she uses a lot of like collusion phrases like, "Oh, we best watch out now that he's number one. He'll be taking over. Oh, we, like you're part of my gang, Team Asuka." Because she seems to need that group dynamic with her as a figurehead. The bit that makes me laugh is that she has this outburst. Rei gets stressed and then just opens the door, leaves it open for a few seconds, and goes, "Farewell," and just walks off. And she's still kind of ranting. And we're led into the angel combat quite quickly, where Shinji is to be the leader. And it shows it's a 90s anime when he's like, well, you know, fighting's a man job. Which is described as how very antiquated of him. How do you feel about the angel in this episode?
I feel like they could go places with this angel, and I don't feel like they're doing much with it.
Okay.
In that, so the angel looks like, I called it the Zebrorb.
Yeah,
because
I like that term. I think it's a 1970s lampshade, but
I guess different views on it. Yeah, it was the black and white stripy orb that floats above, and then it turns out that the angel wasn't the orb. The angel was the shadow,
which was a 600-meter radius circle that was it was very shallow, like 2 millimeters deep or something, 2 something meters deep, and it has an internal AT field.
Inverted.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Oh, right. It says internal in the. Anyway.
Oh, okay. One of us did some misreading. Anyways.
Or it could just be a translation between the two.
I suppose.
It's a pocket dimension, basically.
Yeah. It's mentioned that this angel could be connected to another universe.
Yes.
Which, oh boy, this is what I mean. It could open up a whole lot of stuff.
The NGEU confirmed.
Yeah. And I don't think they really do anything. It's just kind of alluded to be that this angel. Yeah. This angel just kind of has a pocket universe.
There's a lot of this episode though where it's like we need to fill the time. Here's some pseudo sci-fi terminology, and then we get to like the reflections of Shinji. Question for you.
So
inside, when Shinji's running out of time, he's running out of oxygen, life support's running out, he has a dialogue or a monologue. So is the angel speaking to Shinji, or is it Shinji coming to realization of the world? Because
go on.
Watching this and having done counselling, everyone scratch that off your bingo card. Gareth mentioned counselling. There's a Carl Jung quote that came to me that is, to confront a person with his own shadow is to show him his own light. And there's a lot of the dark, air quotes, Shinji that's like forcing him to assess stuff. There's a quote where it goes, "I'm proud of you, Shinji," in Gendo's voice. And he's like,
Hmm.
"Are you going to recall that one moment of happiness for the rest of your life?" So do you think it's Shinji or the angel?
My initial interpretation, and it's probably one I'll stick to, is that it was a level of his subconscious that is subconscious. And he, because of, yeah, sort of him going into it's meant to be a sort of a near hibernation state.
Yeah,
Um, that he's, yeah, sort of able to commune with, and it's, yeah, the sort of the way his brain is. I wouldn't say deprived of oxygen, but the way it is in its current
yeah.
state is that it's creating a fractious self.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which I suppose would be a reflection of how he's feeling, whether or not he wants to hide it or not.
Yeah.
So
Do
it's
you
a
think he's hiding from it or he's being revealed to it? Like if he's going to die, is this his final self-reflection, or do you think he's developing and growing and coming to that realization? There's a couple of like crossroads I think we can
hmm,
people can talk about, and obviously the community probably still do and will.
hmm. I reckon it's more. It's a growth in that he's coming to have to make a decision where things that are being kept in his subconscious are being revealed to his consciousness.
Yes.
Um, things that, yeah, he might have picked up on subconsciously, that he has subconsciously not obsessed,
Mm.
observed in himself, that
Yeah.
are then it's, yeah, the yeah, fracturing of his self is then being able to look at it
Yeah. There's
consciously.
a people centered concept of the 7 stage process, and people don't necessarily go on to a level and stay there. You can fluctuate. Level one is it's not me that has to change, it's everyone else. It's not
Mm,
me that's the problem. And then when you develop a level of self awareness, you move through. And people who go to therapy, like stage 7, is like complete self realization and the ability to self generate and form non societive norms and act that way. The person who posited this concept claims only 3 people have ever achieved this. One of them was Gandhi, one of them was Eleanor Roosevelt, and the other one I don't remember the name of, but they weren't insignificant, they were just not historically known.
mm,
And most people who go to therapy go in at stage 3, 2 or like high 2, low 3, and they stop going to therapy around stage 5. Some people hang in, realizing it's a growth idea, and stay at state and go to stage 6. But that's when you stop seeing therapists usually. And I
mm,
think this is like you're talking about like teenage development, puberty, riotous acts and stuff, and I don't disagree with that because it's all growth. And I
mm,
think a lot of Evangelion is the growth of people, the self analysis of themselves, or their
mm,
interactions to the world through where they are. So a lot of the stuff that you say, I totally agree with, and I can see it.
mm. Yeah, so to summarize it fully again, I believe Shinji was talking to maybe a part of his subconscious that he
Okay.
hadn't
Yeah.
wanted previously to acknowledge, but he's being forced to now. Um, I picked up on, so during this scene visually, a lot of the voices that he's hearing is represented with a line. It's
Black
a
and
sort of
white.
a,
Yeah.
yes, a white line on a black background. It's not a straight line, it's horizontal, but it wiggles.
Yeah.
Um, with two notable exceptions I picked up on.
Okay.
There may have been a third, but I don't think so. I picked up on two main
Yeah.
ones quite initially. First one was Gendo.
Yeah.
I don't know if the particular shape of the line has any significance, but it was startlingly different
Yes. Yes.
because you've just seen horizontal line, and then all of a sudden, it's not crooked, but it has two vertical parts and a horizontal part connecting it,
Yeah.
almost like the letter H missing one of its legs. And Misato being the second character, which is two crossed lines.
Yeah. The Smash Brothers logo, yeah.
Yeah. I was taking this to be a representation of his sort of immediate association, probably subconscious, of a father and a mother figure.
Okay.
Although Misato is a bit of a strange one because Misato might just be sort of generic parental figure or guardian figure, because we do later in the episode he does remember bits of his mother, but is it mentioned in the anime when his mother dies or is
2004.
How old would he have been then?
Young, like 5,
Okay.
I think it's mentioned, but I don't remember especially, which is probably the age. So thinking of the scene of, notice it is back on the train when he has this dialogue, and the dark Shinji is a small boy.
Yeah, it's
and
his
it
younger self.
also alludes to the concept that Gendo went to trial over his mother's death, which is
But
maybe trauma that has been pushed aside, and now he has to deal with it. I want to quickly, before, because I think we're tipping into next episodes with this.
We are.
A ghost, air quotes again, hugs Shinji, and the Evil One unit goes into a berserk mode and kills the Zebrorb. Like, it rips it violently apart, like it's rebirthed in. Oh, who's the? Is it the Baptists who do the rebirthing ritual?
Yeah.
And that's quite violent when they do it.
Yeah.
Like it actually a few years ago.
Yeah.
Well, it got moderated after someone got nearly kicked to death, I believe. Because they used to put you in a sheet, and then other members would squeeze and push you to be the womb muscles. And one group, they were like, "Oh, just kick him, keep kicking him until he comes out." Death by misadventure, I suppose. So yeah, we get the rescue. Who do you think the female ghost is?
Okay, my immediate thought was his mother.
Yeah, mine too.
I mean, usually, so there is a sense that, again, given when the anime came out and there's prevalent social norms, mother, and it's especially true with Gendo, being as a father figure, being incredibly distant. Usually a mother is a much more caring parental figure, much more protective.
Stereotyped.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, especially when the anime came out and when it was being created and storyboarded. So I would naturally jump to the conclusion it was his mother.
Yeah.
Also because the idea that she is dead.
Yeah.
We have had multiple pieces of evidence pointing to her death. Flashback in this episode and also in previous episodes at the grave. So yeah, that feels like it because
we're talking. You asked the question last podcast. What are the Evas? I'm gonna say this from episode 1. The Eva unit saved Shinji from being crushed to death from the ceiling. Sounds like a motherly act to me.
Yeah, to a degree. I mean, there's also a point to be said that you can believe humanity can be good in that it doesn't have to be a mother figure.
That's not the direction I'm steering you. So
that's the direction I felt.
All right.
But yeah,
you've heard. There's a very popularized phrase of the word "ghost in the machine." Do you think this is literally the ghost in the machine? Seeing as the Eva saves Shinji.
You're making cookie dough again in my head. It's God,
And we'll
I'm gonna
give
have to
this
pass
other.
on that.
Is it a?
Yes,
It's a
no
thought
doubt.
experiment for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to answer it on the spot, I'm afraid, because obvious answers being yes or no. Yes, if the ghost is the Eva, that opens up a lot of things. If it's his dead mother's ghost, that also opens up a lot of other possibilities.
Like
Um,
the Magi system. Another
yeah,
dead mum.
possibly, but it also opens up the whole thing about supernatural beings because it's all of it. Yeah, we've had mentions of the soul in past.
Yeah.
Seal being the seat of the soul, all of that, and then you go, okay, but now the soul is tangible.
You also have
Oh boy.
not the Magi system, Retsuko, and it's important for the next episode actually, because episode 17 starts with Masato proxying for Shinji at a
Mm.
trial, and one of the questions she's asked is, do you think angels were trying to make psychological contact with humans and understand what the heart feels?
Cookie dough at the moment.
I'm adding to this tray, boys.
Yeah, God, it's gone
We're
from
going to
like
eat good at the
six
end of this
cookies.
episode.
Yeah, we really did. In fact, I went back for seconds and I cheated. Uh,
I had to get in
yeah,
there.
yeah. So that would open up three possibilities. In A, it was Unit One trying to communicate with Shinji. Option two, it's Shinji's mother, which
Yeah.
then opens up the possibility of the paranormal being a actual objective thing in universe, which a whole other tray of cookies. Or third option, it was the angel that he was trapped inside. Um, yeah,
Well, can
and
I
I'm
can
not.
I
We
add to
don't have
your
time to
cookies
explore
and
all three
brain
options.
stew?
Hmm.
So the question is, did the angels try to contact man? My question, has man tried to contact the angels, do you reckon? Do you reckon that's what caused the second impact, what we've seen historically, like in episode 15, was it, with the flashback of Masato and the absolutely colossal angel that appeared out the South Pole?
Uh, Episode 12 was the flashback.
Thank you.
Um,
I stand
um,
corrected, and I
yeah.
take it.
Thankfully, I have my book of notes in front of me. Um, I don't. So it's an idea. It's a possibility. I don't think we've had anything that would prove or disprove it.
Yeah.
It's like if I were to ask you if the colors I see are the same as what you see, it's going, well,
Yeah,
I don't know.
this is a conversation that I've had with many people, and I get that. But,
Hmm.
I'm just trying to nudge you, give you
It's
ideas, make you think a little bit.
Yeah, it is an idea I would not have come to on my own conclusion as of yet.
Okay.
Again, I think given how we are watching it, I
Mm-hmm.
am watching it for the first time. I am quite happy to be fed the information that is being fed to us.
Yeah.
You have already watched it, and as a rewatch, you are probably searching out for bits you might have missed or connections that you didn't make in the first
Yeah,
one.
we've discussed in previous podcasts about watching it in different lenses, and I actually think I can't turn my counselor brain off watching this. I've tried.
Mm.
I've actually watched these episodes twice. Usually I just do
Mm.
one with my notes, sat in the kitchen with my phone. Um,
Mm.
this time I actually watched them for fun and then as homework. Um, and yeah, there's so many things, and it just like pops off new knowledge that I've learned since I
Mm.
first watched it in like the early 2000s and later in the mid 2000s. I used to have a
Mm.
terrible habit when I lived with friends of watching anime on the sofa and falling asleep. Never ask me to watch Death Note. I can't make it past episode 1. It is literally just sleeping medicine to me. Um, have you got any questions about the trial before we move on?
Um, I have no questions about the trial. I don't believe you were present. I did. So I very much enjoyed the fact that it's mentioned that Misato is standing in for Shinji.
Yes.
I get the feeling it's because he was, for whatever reason, incapacitated at that time or unable to make the trial. But I enjoy the possibility that she denied, like she was flat out refusing, that she was forcefully interjecting herself to protect him. But yeah, I very much enjoyed the thought that she was forcefully protecting Shinji from trial. Given where she sits in the military and how the command structure would work, I feel like if she were to do that, she would probably find herself not in her position for particularly long. But it's a nice thought that is a possibility, and I'm going to stick to that.
Yeah. I think I agree with the second concept that she has, like, Shinji's at home and she's gone, no, you've got me. That's it. That's what I think.
Yes. So one thing that was possibility in episode 16, there is a sort of a cut during, I think it's near the end of the end of his internal monologue or dialogue, where it could be he dies.
Okay.
And I did sort of try to keep my eye on the 2 episodes going forward as to the possibility of it showing any sort of subtle or major changes to being, this could posit that he is dead and this is his sort of last moments of his mind going towards infinity.
Add that to the cookie pile.
Yeah, the thing that I picked up on was in the plug he could smell blood.
Yeah.
Which, when he's out of the plug, or I think he goes out of the plug and then goes back in, he can still smell blood.
Yeah.
Which I thought sort of gave credence to the idea. But beyond that, it doesn't actually really come up. Maybe I'll get back to it. But yeah, so enjoyed that. The next part we get, I believe, is they explain and show the dummy plug project.
Yes. There's between the dummy plug and this, there are 2 expositional scenes. One talking to, you just get some nurses walking through a corridor going on about, her situation's getting worse, but her brother's such a sweetheart, it comes twice a week. And then the second branch, the American nerve, vanishes. They lose Eva 4. Eva 3 is forced upon Japan, and apparently this was the failure of an S2 drive test. And then we go to we actually have a third exposition, actually. We get back to Tank Rei.
Oh, yeah.
Still got brown hair in the back.
Well, yeah, it's colourless.
Yeah.
There was a strong... In previous episode, there was a strong point of when Rei and Asuka are arguing to show their eye colour.
Yeah.
That eye colour seems to be a complementary colour to their hair. But in this particular version of Rei, it is monochrome. But yeah, so I didn't make notes on them. My apologies. Yeah, we got the dummy plug exposition, which, again, foreshadowing. Something I did pick up on, again, we have discussed the idea that the Evas are probably living in some capacity, whether or not they are a full living thing or they are just essentially like the I forget the name of them, the supercomputers.
The Magi.
That's it. That because it's the Eva needs to believe that
in the pilot.
The pilot, yes. Even though the dummy plug is just basically it's like a computer synthesized reconstruction of the neural pattern of the pilot.
I'm unsure if it's this episode, but there was something that caught my ear when they talk about it's the brain and physiological data of a pilot, but it's when they later on next episode when they actually put the dummy plug in.
But it's all foreshadowing, which is
they talk about the emotional response is at 40%. So
Mm.
I want to know how you measure. Well, I understand on a neuroscience like the amygdala, which is your emotional response area of your brain, and it fires off the synapses. But I'm curious how you measure that. Um, because, what you think is a strong emotional response from me, I might be like, oh, that's like a 2 out of 10. And you're like,
Mm.
oh, that's very intense. And it's like, I can get more
Mm.
emotional. I've got
Yeah.
that capacity.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things that, again, that's a completely different topic, and
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
different rabbit hole to go down. Um,
I'll add it to the tray. Um,
yeah, it would probably have to be not even anime related. That would just be a topic on, I guess, subjective emotional states.
yeah, yeah.
Um, regardless, so yeah, so we have the dummy plug. I'm not sure if there's any more expositional scenes. My next notes are that it's the class president is I. I won't put exactly what I've written down, but yeah, she's starting to flirt with
Toji.
Toji.
So Toji is now a strong MC vibes character, right? We're on that page. So they talk about the pilot's called The Children. So Rei's
Mm.
the first children, Asuka's the second, and Shinji is the third. And they talk
Mm.
about how it's interesting that mysteriously they've discovered the fourth children after looking for so long. And
Exactly when it's needed.
yeah, it's weird that. Uh, and all of this and the beginning of episode 18, it's about Toji, and
Yeah,
he is discovered to be the fourth children. There's a little bit of Mr. Kaji spy plot where
yep.
he's like, maybe you should look into the Marduk Institute. It
Mm.
doesn't exist. And it lists a number, which is the number for
707.
Shinji's school.
Mm.
Um,
Um,
End of my spy voice. Um,
End of your ASMR segment.
but yeah,
But
we get
so
that,
this
and it's about Toji. Go ahead,
mm,
Fred.
episode 17 does flow quite nicely into episode 18, given that it's very Toji focused in this part.
Toji.
But yeah, it's not that Shinji isn't the focus anymore. It's more that there is a certain increase in Toji presence, which
Yeah,
it also feels like Toji's a little more distant, like he's got something on his mind constantly.
like
Um,
an injured sister.
yeah, but I would have said more than that because in previous episodes he still had an injured sister, but
Yeah,
he's not been as sort of distracted. And yeah, so when the class president, which I'm informed she does have a name,
she
and
has a name, but neither of us can remember it. She's like the female NPC. Although
she feels
NPC cameraman
no,
volunteers himself as a pilot,
he does.
even on a part-time basis, like just weekends.
But
I
yeah,
can do
it
it.
feels
Get
like
me in there.
it feels like the class president's introduction, even though she has been in before as sort of pointed out to be Asuka's friend.
Yeah,
It feels like the fact that she's suddenly taken an interest in Toji in a romantic sense is quite shoehorned in.
yeah.
Um, and yeah, the poor girl does try flirting with him, and
He's
he is
thick as a
far too
rock. Yeah,
distracted. He is A, thick as rock, and B, quite heavily distracted.
yeah. He's a teenage boy as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I think everyone at that age kind of
Yeah,
is going to miss signals,
I
and
think
when
a
you
lot of people at any age miss signals, and it's
mm,
always your friends go, "Dude, they're
yeah,
into you," and you're like, "What?"
yeah, yeah,
They're messaging you. They're stood next to you. They're asking about all your interests, saying you
mm,
look good. They may be into you.
nah, couldn't be.
So,
Anyway,
anyway, fries.
anyway, episode 18. Um, yeah, so I think this episode opens up with them flying Unit 3 over. So you get the
Yeah.
Unit 3 reveal.
Ninja
Nice
Eva
headshot.
confirmed. All black.
Yeah. Or, yeah, black and navy, but
Yeah.
close enough.
This
Again, that
episode just quickly is called Life, Death, Decisions, but the Japanese, it's just called Ambivalance.
I am baffled as to why they've got to fly the angels. Like the angels are stood like stock upright.
Yeah.
Much more aerodynamic to have them lying
So
down.
previously in Magma Diver, they flew them in like the aeroplanes
Yeah,
were jetpacks, and
yeah,
now it's like a bird has just stolen a mouse out of a field, and it's just like,
yeah. Is this the Americans' way of trying to like flex on the Japanese, being like, "Look, we can do it this way because
we can
screw
make this a
aerodynamics."
waste of
Yeah,
fuel and ineffective. America. Um,
yeah. So
USA.
anyway,
Sorry.
nice visuals. And then yeah, the following scenes seems to be a lot of it's confirming the idea that Toji is the
Yeah.
fourth children without explicitly telling us. It's
Without telling Shinji.
yeah,
That's what the
and
real point is.
yeah, um,
Because
Shinji's being
everyone else
excluded.
knows.
Yeah,
Even
it's
Shinji's mum knows who the fourth children is.
yeah, it's never explicitly told to us. And as far as that, it is mentioned that the fourth children has a sister who's been heavily injured and is
Yeah.
being moved to a better hospital. So, yes, we are aware of a character who is that, but they don't mention him by name.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, this episode's a lot of like the harmonics testing, but we get what every fan probably wants in this kind of show. You want to see Power Ranger versus Power Ranger. You want to see
yeah,
Hero versus Hero. Guyver 1 versus Guyver 3. Here it is, baby. Eva versus Eva Combat. Because,
and
sorry, I was just going to
yeah,
say,
oh,
they try the harmonics test, and as you said, an explosion happens for the intermission scene, and then it is designated an angel, not an Eva.
So my initial reaction to this was I believe that there was an angel that was controlling the Eva.
Okay.
Um,
Similar to the nanobots?
yeah, very much. Because I think it's my interpretation of it was that was the case. I thought the explosion was maybe an angel arriving,
Okay.
and then sort of either infecting or taking over or physically controlling the Eva. And so in the fight scene, I think it's with Rei that it's mentioned that Eva 3 has was it dissolving or infection properties?
Yeah, it jumps on
But,
Ray's blue unit
hmm,
00. It's blue now.
hmm,
And it like has a gaping wound which stuff pours out of, which Gendo tells them to like eject the arm.
hmm. Now we had a difference in view about this, but
Yeah. So in the dub, he is told he can cut off the arm. Then he asks, "Do you want to separate the pilot from the Eva so she doesn't feel it?" And he's like, "Just cut off the arm." And it shows to me Gendo will do anything as long as his plan succeeds, even hurting the golden goose Rei. And you see her writhing in pain in the plug because she thinks she's had her arm cut off.
yeah. So yeah, you were seeming to focus on the idea that Gendo is willing to hurt Rei for his plan to succeed. I took it as a more of a case of that he would rather Rei attempt a sort of a suicide attack than get her out, get the plug out,
Yeah,
forcefully or emergency
disconnect her.
eject the plug. So it's a case of I would rather you try to slow it down to hurt it than I keep you safe.
Yeah, I
So
I just want to posit something. Asuka in this fight mysteriously disappears. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't get defeated. Also, in the last couple of episodes, new weapons. She gets an axe to climb away from the Shadow Realm. And she's got a bazooka in this episode. Where's she getting all this extra pocket money and weaponry from? Questions.
I don't think Asuka is the one buying them.
I reckon it is.
This
I
isn't
will
America.
fight
This
you
is
on
Japan.
this.
That's
So
either
yeah,
three.
we lose
Anyway.
two Evas, and we get Shinji versus Eva 3. And
Yes.
Shinji refuses to fight because there's a human in there. He's happy to admit there may be angel infection, but his theory is we must save the fourth children, then
Yeah,
fight the angel.
Yeah, I would rather disable the Eva than kill it.
Yeah.
And Gendo was not happy about this. Gendo basically said, "No, you do what I say, and because you haven't, I'm going to forcefully make you."
Yeah. So he inserts the dummy plug and
With
re-traumatizes his son.
Yeah, with the quote specifically being that he won't have any of this childish nonsense.
Yeah. You have the Gendo quote. For me, that kind of just furthers my belief for me. How do you feel about, just quickly, did you notice this Eva has Dalsim from Street Fighter stretchy limbs?
You're going to hate me for this. I never really played Street Fighter.
It might be an age thing. But
I
it
did-
does have stretchy limbs.
Okay. No, I didn't pick up on that any more than so during the fight scene when Shinji's dummy plug Eva absolutely pulverizes the Eva 3.
Violently eviscerates.
Yeah, it's
It
very
even
much.
goes to kill the pilot.
I would have said it goes berserk.
Yeah.
Given that, I suppose technically this was the first time the dummy plug had interacted with the Eva, very much because the first time Shinji interacted with it, and even when Rei interacted with her Eva, they all went berserk.
Yeah.
So that is something. But yeah, it's like the whole thing of like if you're having your arm torn off, it's gonna stretch. It's not like Lego; it just doesn't pop.
Oh, Eva 3's not having its arm torn off. It's on the floor.
I was more
it
meaning
grabs
that,
Unit 1 by the head, and it's from the elbow to the wrist extends.
Oh, okay. No, my brain must have chalked that up to sort of in the same way that with anime speed lines,
Yeah.
arms become noodles, and it's the whole thing of that's probably what my brain chalked it up to.
Eva 3 fights a lot like Sachiel, the first angel we meet, that uses like the head punch thing.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I thought of. And it makes me wonder, is Eva 3 a hybrid? Sorry.
It's a possibility, but I would have thought.
Like, how integrated does it become?
So, with some of the cookie dough from our last episode, with the possibility of them recycling the bodies of Evas between, it's possible, but it also depends how long it takes to make the Evas, because if each Eva is being repaired to its extent, these Evas take a hell of a long time to produce and a lot of resources, and it's, to be fair, I don't actually know how much time's passed between
episodes.
Yeah, because this could be, months, years.
I think it's more weeks and months the way
it's
because Shinji's not
like
changing class. They're not talking about graduation. They're still talking about them being between the ages of like 14 and 15.
Yeah, very much. So that was my thought, anyways. That it would have taken too long to produce. They wouldn't. To be fair, we don't know what they do with the corpses of the dead angels. No, well, the angels specifically. Because yeah, if they are taking the corpses of the angels and doing something to them to make them into Evas,
Possibly. They
it
do
just feels like
earlier
it would
on, they
take
take
too long.
the second angel's body from the beginning
Hmm.
of Evangelion. Most of the others just self-destruct so that the writers
Hmm.
don't have to worry about that. Just like, push it aside,
Yeah,
it's gone now.
yeah.
But I can see its legs sticking out behind the curtain. Shh.
But
But,
yeah.
so this takes us to Shinji crying in an Eva. His dad being happy that he claims the dummy plug's a success.
We'll see.
So
As a
I
cheater, I have knowledge.
cheat. So I wrote as an overview in our notes that we share that these 3 episodes for me use a lot of Carl Jung and how revealing the full self involves accepting your dark side, and that being a monster is much a part of being a savior. Which I feel that the Shinji death monologue happens and his conversation with Mr. Kaji. I think Masato has a similar self-reflection. I can't remember if it's in this group or the previous group, but there's some self-friction to force growth and motion. How do you feel this is all moving along? You've gone quiet.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll keep talking until I'm back. Just da da
You're
da da
back now.
da. Okay, cool. Um, it feels as it feels as though so far Shinji has been shown to be growing. He's certainly a very different character to what we were introduced to him as.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in episode 16 with the Zebrorb. Just how he interacts is so much different to what he used to be.
Yeah.
And it feels like this is, in my mind, it feels like, yeah, he's going along a path. Now all of a sudden it's like there's a really jagged rock in the way and he's stood on it. And yeah, he's got to decide what he's doing with it.
Yeah. The concept that you posit is he going over the obstacle, around the obstacle, or through the obstacle?
I
He's
feel like in
reaching
this
those.
scenario,
Yeah.
the scenario's been forced on him. The
Yeah.
obstacle is,
Go
yeah,
through it.
he's stood on the rock and he's got to decide what he's doing now.
Yeah. Is it the fire or the frying pan? We're gonna leave this episode on a cliffhanger, like episode 18 left us on a cliffhanger. Unless your name's Freddie and you've cheated. Thank you for joining us again this week, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you, Freddie.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. We'll see you again.
Bye bye.